Well, joining me now to talk about the economic impacts of Great Britain's decision to leave the EU is Purdue economics professor Jerry Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Now, pleased to be here.
Thank you so much. So what is behind this decision?
Well, I think the people in Great Britain felt to a large extent that there were too many rules and regulations being determined by the EU in Brussels. And in particular, I think possibly what set this off was that a lot of the working people believe that the immigration policies the EU set have been too liberal. Now it's a kind of a combination of both too many people coming in, perhaps taking their jobs away, and then with the influx of immigrants from the Middle East and some political uncertainty there, it was probably enough to push it over the top.
And we already saw in the package that ran previously how it's impacting their economy. How is this expected to impact the U.S. economy?
Well, I don't want to short sell it, using a stock term, but in reality, the United States exports about $2.2 trillion a year. It exports about $60 billion to Great Britain. That's 3% of total exports. Those aren't going to completely go away, so those exports are going to fall somewhat. Really, the bilateral trade with Great Britain is not going to be all that different, but if the rest of the EU goes into decline, and we stop selling as much to the European Union and so forth, it could have some impact on the U.S. economy, no question.
And so how could this translate to exporters here in the greater Lafayette area?
Well, always, whenever you're exporting goods, is when you're selling any goods, you're interested in the economic viability of the market you're selling into. And a large percentage of our exports go to the European Union countries as a whole. If the EU starts to go into decline, they've already been a fairly slow-growing economy. If it falls back even more, it's going to be more difficult for people to sell abroad. The fact that the pound is dropping means the dollar is rising, so the cost of U.S. goods are going to be more expensive. There's going to be less demand for it. It's going to be up to the individual firm here in terms of how much they're selling abroad, how much of that is going to the European Union and so forth, to figure out what impact it's going to have on them individually.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much to Jerry Lynch, Purdue economics professor.